Hi, I'm Crystal Kelly. I'm 19 from New York. So, growing up in Williamsburg, I grew up around a predominantly Chinese area. So, a lot of my friends growing up happened to be of Chinese origin. Like, one of my closest friends growing up, her name was Connie Jang, and I would go over to her house and she would tell me all things about China. Like, she introduced me to seaweed, the Chinese New Year, the Lunar New Year, and just being around that environment made me interested in wanting to go out and learn Mandarin. There was a point in time I used to go on language exchange apps where I could meet with people from China, and I would say I got discriminated against super bad. Like I was called the N word in both English and Mandarin, but it got to the point I would cry every day, just why even bother, why try to learn the language of people that hate me. The first time I've ever been racially discriminated to my face in real life, not even just online, was in Flushing. Someone had followed me around the store because they had thought I was stealing, and that really rubbed me the wrong way because it was my birthday. I think I had just turned 15 or 14, and I had wanted to go out because I really wanted to try a restaurant, and it made me feel the wrong way because then people were like, why are you supporting these businesses when they don't like you? And so I had to reflect on that because that was probably the time where I was most likely going to just quit studying Mandarin, not going to China. I've been turned away from a post office and a convenience store once they found out I was black. Even though it's not the beauty standard, there's a lot of fetishization, I would say. Not to the point where it's maybe mainstream or anything, but when they think of black females, like I said, a lot of stuff they see is from the media, and so a lot of them assume I'm promiscuous, so they think I'm an easy girl in a sense. So people have already approached me in sexual ways, especially some guys. I would think they're trying to be my friend, but they assume American girls, I would say maybe more so black girls, are mainly about sex. I had someone ask me at 13 if I was still a virgin because all they hear about in school is oh, American kids have sex at a young age, or I had one friend admit to me, he was like, oh, I thought black people all lose their virginities at 14, 15. But he was like, I can't imagine a white person doing the same thing. He just straight up said that. And so during my toughest time, I had a friend write me a letter in Mandarin. I couldn't read it at the time, but I had it translated. But it was basically a letter saying how much, even though we hadn't known each other for a long time, she greatly valued our friendship and she can't wait to meet me. And she also sent me Chinese yuan, right? And so I was like, okay, I can kind of see this work. And even still to this day, that's probably one of my closest friends, I would say. And that's who I plan to visit when I do make my trip to China. So I would say those strong friendships have definitely made me helped me from just not quitting and just getting rid of everything. I feel it also the other way around. Even here, I sometimes feel I made a joke within the black community sometimes. For me, it's hard to say. I don't believe my family's racist, but they still indulge in a lot of racist jokes, which is also I feel is a problem, which I do try to correct. But oftentimes I'm labeled as being sensitive and things like that. They'll constantly send me racist Asian memes that they'll find across Instagram or any social media platforms to kind of get a rise about me, because I have been doing my best to kind of educate them about these types of topics, but I still feel there is still a lack of education and acknowledgement. It won't even be Mandarin, but they'll be oh, there goes your people. Or if they see someone doing bad, they'll be oh, those are your people. There's still a lot of stigma the black community has as well, just about China in general. I know some people in the black community desires Blasians over just black people, right? It's seen as more exotic, right? A lot of people I notice will treat me better when they think I'm Blasian compared to when they find out I'm just black. My interest like kind of goes against like stereotypes of what they think a black person should be. So I kind of would say I was always the odd one out even before I started like learning Mandarin. Like they would call me the white girl of the family. I was always called the white girl like just because of the music. And so when I started like learning like Mandarin and stuff like that, that's kind of when it switched to like, oh, you want to be Chinese and that. It seems like people lack like the ability to understand or don't wish to understand that like black people can have like a large range of topics, and it doesn't mean I don't like being black. You know, I'm really proud to be black. That's one thing I said I would never change about myself. And so definitely like even from the black community itself, people assume I talk the way I talk or act the way I act because like I'm learning Mandarin, but I feel like that's just who I am as a person. I've once been told like, oh, you don't act black, you must like have an Asian mom. Someone had told me that one time, and that definitely obviously offended me. But I feel like some people have like, you know, the stereotype that black people are supposed to act a certain way, and so when you don't, like they think, oh, you're not like other black people, or think of other reasons, and to make you seem like you're the outlier and not the fact that people of any race can act in any sort of way. They try to make that justification to justify their own stereotypes. Because I feel like people are not willing to let it go, so they look for like workarounds for it.